On this Monday night, a stunning resignation. Justin Trudeau's top advisor and longtime ally steps down in the wake of the SNC-Lavalin affair.
For him to resign means that this scandal is extremely serious.
But is it enough to take the heat off the Liberals? We've got a special Monday at issue.
Real mad and sad also, very sad, because I know Haiti could be better.
Anger simmers in Haiti after days of violent protests, concerned now about what comes next. We're on the ground in Port-au-Prince. Sting returns to his roots for his Canadian theatre debut.
You have to come to terms with the ghost you left behind. So really, it's a search for myself.
A candid conversation with Sting. This is The National.
We begin tonight with a political shocker, the second high-profile resignation because of the SNC-Lavalin affair, and this one strikes the very core of the Prime Minister's office. Gerald, Trudeau's principal secretary, has stepped down over allegations he or someone in the office tried to pressure former Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould to intervene in the criminal case. Butts vehemently denies those claims. He is leaving anyway because he fears he has become a distraction. We'll look at where his departure leaves the government. But first, Katie Simpson starts our coverage with the announcement that took Ottawa by surprise.
Katie Telford and Gerald Butts, my friends and compatriots, thank you for what you've done.
Gerry Butts has been by the Prime Minister's side from the start. So trusted as Principal Secretary, Justin Trudeau has said when Butts speaks, he speaks for the Prime Minister, making this resignation all the more shocking. In a statement, Butts adamantly denies allegations he or his office pressured the former Justice Minister to end the prosecution of SNC-Lavalin. But the fact is that this accusation exists, he wrote. It cannot and should not take one moment away from the vital work the Prime Minister and his office is doing for all Canadians. It is in the best interests of the office and its important work for me to step away.
I, of course, will miss him personally, as will all of those who surround the Prime Minister every day and all of those who carry on this work.
For him to resign means that this scandal is extremely serious, and the government appears to be covering up the truth.
Butts is now at the center of the SNC-Lavalin affair. Nearly 2 weeks ago, the Globe and Mail reported Jody Wilson-Raybould was pressured by the PMO last fall to kill the court case against the Quebec engineering giant. Trudeau has repeatedly denied that.
The decisions she makes as Attorney General, particularly in this matter, are her decision, and I was not directing or pressuring her.
An ethics investigation and a Justice Committee probe have already been launched, and with Butts' resignation today, the NDP is calling for more.
What we're seeing now is something that looks like a pretty surprising potential admission of guilt. And at this point, we are bolstering our argument for a public inquiry.
The Prime Minister meets in person with his cabinet tomorrow. It's the first time since losing a star minister and now his closest advisor. Justin Trudeau's inner circle needs to stop the political bleeding, but that won't likely happen tomorrow, since Trudeau will face scathing demands from the opposition for transparency in question period. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
There are few positions in government as powerful as the one Gerry Butts just left. The right-hand man, Trudeau's political confidant, along with Katie Telford, the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, the trio formed the center of decision-making for this government. But Butts is more than that. Justin Trudeau also describes him as one of his best friends, though their backgrounds could not be more different. One, the privileged son of a prime minister, the other, the son of a coal miner in Cape Breton. From their time as students at McGill to Trudeau's wedding, Butts was with Justin Trudeau from the moment he decided to run for Liberal leader. He's been a constant presence and a key architect of the campaign that propelled the Liberals to victory.
We've taken a team approach from day one. The leader of it has done a phenomenal job, and that's Justin Trudeau. So we're very proud to work for that man tonight.
Trudeau has always seemed aware of how much he owes Butts.
Katie and Jerry are two of the smartest, toughest, hardest working people you will find anywhere. They share with me the conviction that politics doesn't have to be negative and personal to be successful.
From then to now, Butts has been central to the Liberal government. He helped craft the narrative, the story Liberals wanted to tell Canadians, pushing the government's signature Canada Child Benefit and carbon tax. Butts has also been described as Trudeau's safety blanket, his enforcer on Twitter and in caucus. Critics called him the puppet master, the brains of the operation, the Liberal most willing to publicly pick fights on wedge issues.
I think that people have been underestimating Mr. Trudeau since before he was in public life, and I think it will probably continue. I think he's done a truly remarkable job.
Which is part of why the Prime Minister today thanked him for his friendship, and why no one here thinks Gerald Butts is going too far from the Liberal Party. As for the investigations into the SNC-Lavalin controversy, tomorrow the House of Commons Justice Committee will meet again to debate other possible witnesses in its probe. Last week, you may remember, the Liberal majority voted down calls to have some key players testify, including Jody Wilson-Raybould and Gerald Butts and senior members of the Prime Minister's office. So all eyes will likely be on that tomorrow afternoon. So there's a lot to watch for and there's a lot to ask. Is this enough to take some pressure off the government? Or does this just delay the pain until Jody Wilson-Raybould finally speaks, if she speaks? And a lot for At Issue to tackle. Andrew Coyne and Rob Russo are here for a special edition that's coming up in a little over 10 minutes. Lots to talk about, Ian. Stay tuned. I know you will.
And now, Rosemary, let's turn to Haiti, another big story, and people there were bracing for more violence today. Instead, the capital seemed a picture of calm, and businesses and offices were finally able to reopen after 11 days of anger and protest. But make no mistake, Haiti remains a nation in upheaval. As Paul Hunter found out in Port-au-Prince, today's relative peace isn't likely to last.
The streets of Port-au-Prince seemed almost normal today, but get just below the surface and the underlying anger jumps out. Check the scratched out face of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse and the still barely passable roads where rioters last week fought to push him from office. What I want is for the president to resign, this man told us. He's a school teacher. His nearby classrooms today sat empty. His students at home this week over fears of renewed violence here, as Haitians rise up against a government accused of corruption. Their country, among the poorest in the world, saw many hundreds of millions of dollars meant to help turn this place around, misused and lost. At a hospital across town, evidence not just of Haiti's desperation, but also of its determination to now stand up against the government. 3 of the 4 patients here suffer gunshot wounds. And right next door...
So this one is one of the victims of the violence, in the country. So he got both legs fracture in both legs, gunshot wounds.
The gunshot, said the man, came from the police while he demonstrated. They were shooting at us, he says. We didn't do anything to them. We were just standing up for our rights. Meanwhile, the hospital itself seems on life support. The place is running low on oxygen. In the medicine room, they need medicine. Shelves that should be stocked sit like this. And in the blood lab, guess what?
We need everything. We need O positive, we need A positive, we need B, we need everything. You can go to the fridge and you will see.
Indeed, in the fridge, just 4 bags worth, and each is already spoken for. The only real choice left for Haitians, we were told, is to now stand up and push hard for a better country.
We have to fight for the change, you know?
But lost on no one, the truth that change, if it ever comes to Haiti, always comes slowly. Amid those sidewalk vendors today, that's right, it's leftover rubble from the earthquake 9 years ago. Is it any wonder Haitians are so frustrated by everything?
We're mad and sad also, very sad, because I know Haiti could be better. We could be a lot better than that.
And Paul joins us now from Haiti's capital. We were expecting big protests today, Paul. Why didn't that happen?
Yeah, well, no one really knows. I mean, the government's now promising to cut spending. Maybe that's a factor. But everyone we talked to today said they don't really believe that. You know, it's just talk. Still, they were grateful for another day of normalcy. I mean, the Canadian Embassy reopened today for 3 hours. That's a good thing. But don't forget, the underlying issues remain. People are angry and are demanding real change. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, Paul. It's hard to pinpoint exactly when things started to go so desperately wrong in Haiti. After all, the country has lurched from crisis to crisis for decades. Chronic poverty to foreign interventions to military coups. But the roots of this political crisis are more recent. Here's the brief on a turbulent decade. The world poured billions into Haiti after the 2010 earthquake, Canada alone sending $440 million in immediate emergency relief. But much of the money meant to rebuild the country can't be accounted for. Haiti's next government, mired in accusations of deep corruption, also did little. And after the disastrous 2015 election, widely seen as fraudulent and which unleashed months of political chaos, Canada started backing away. Jovenel Moïse came to power in 2017 with little popular support or apparent ability to improve things. And Haitians have seen the opulent mansions being constructed for the rich. So when accusations surfaced that billions of dollars set aside to buy discount fuel from Venezuela had been stolen, well, things exploded all over again. And this time, international donors may be much more careful with their money going forward. One last note on the Haiti story tonight, and it's a happy one for the families of those Canadian nurses now safely out of the troubled country, including Catherine O'Neill, one of those who landed in Montreal earlier tonight.
We were very happy to be where we were, taking care of the people we were with. I think that all 8 of us nurses have left a little piece of our heart back in Haiti.
Gracious even after a long ordeal. And a little later in the show, we're there the moment one of those nurses' husbands finds out that she is safely on the way out. Stay with us for that.
Britain's main opposition party was rocked by a mass exodus this morning when 7 Labour MPs staged a dramatic walkout. They say they quit over the party's handling of Brexit. But as Kayla Hounsell tells us, even more disturbing is their allegation the party is rife with anti-Semitism.
British parliamentarians can't agree on much lately, but at least for today, this group was united on one thing. They can no longer stand with their party.
This has not been an easy decision for any of us. We've all been Labour members of Parliament for very many years.
And with that, 7 opposition Labour MPs walked away. They haven't created a new party, at least not yet, pledging to sit as an independent group, citing anti-Semitism.
I am leaving behind a culture of bullying, bigotry, and intimidation.
And that ever-present issue in British politics, Brexit.
I'm furious that the Labour leadership is complicit in facilitating Brexit, which will cause great economic, social and political damage to our country.
During the 2016 referendum, Labour campaigned to remain in the European Union. The 7 MPs who left Labour today are all in favour of a second referendum and say Corbyn's opposition to Brexit has been weak. Corbyn released a statement saying he's disappointed, going on to say the Tories are bungling Brexit and that now more than ever is the time to bring people together to build a better future for us all.
What this does is further fragment opinion in Parliament.
It all comes at a time when Prime Minister Theresa May is struggling to get her Brexit deal approved. This political scientist says the 7 MPs themselves won't change the course of Brexit, but their actions might.
One thing I think we will now discover is whether this emboldens other MPs, particularly some Conservative MPs, to be more willing to vote down a no-deal Brexit.
The new independent bloc did appeal directly to other MPs to cross the floor today, saying politics is broken, but there is an alternative. And those who watch politics closely here say with Parliament in such disarray over Brexit, there just might be appetite for something new. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, London.
Now, British MPs will have another vote on Prime Minister May's Brexit plan. That'll happen Wednesday. So she is sending her ministers across Europe to try to get more concessions in the hopes this time the House will vote in favour. Britain is set to leave the EU on March 29th.
Here's some of the other developing stories we're watching tonight on The National. A convoy of about 80 trucks from Western Canada are making their way to a rally on Parliament Hill. That's tomorrow. Dubbed the United We Roll campaign, organizers are calling on the government to support the energy industry by building pipelines. They'll be merging with another group from the east before heading to Ottawa. They want to speak directly with the Prime Minister. Huawei founder Ren Zhengfei is speaking out about the arrest of his daughter, company executive Meng Wanzhou. In an interview with the BBC, he says the move was politically motivated and added that he, quote, objects to what the U.S. has done. Meng was arrested in Vancouver in December at the request of the United States. She was charged with bank and wire fraud, allegedly violating the American sanctions against Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump calling on the Venezuelan military to allow humanitarian aid into the country and also to back Juan Guaido as the interim leader. This as international pressure ramps up for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to step down.
We seek a peaceful transition of power, but all options are open.
Canada and the United States among the dozens of countries that have thrown their support behind Guaido.
Ahead tonight on The National, At Issue tackles Gerald Butt's sudden resignation. Why quit if he did nothing wrong? Where does this leave the Prime Minister? Andrew and Rob Russo are straight after the break.
And who's teaching teenagers about the dangers of vaping? Why some students are taking matters into their own hands.
And later, The National gets personal with Sting. He talks about his new musical in Toronto, his hometown, and fatherhood.
How does that affect your relationship with your children? Your son's a musician, one of your daughters is a musician?
You have to ask them. You know, I'm not sure how good a parent I am at all.
Mr. Butts is a very important figure in the government, so his departure, of course, will be missed.
For him to resign means that this scandal is extremely serious, and the government appears to be covering up the truth.
What we're seeing now is something that looks like a pretty surprising potential admission of guilt.
Just some of the reaction to today's political stunner. As we've been telling you, the Prime Minister's principal secretary, Gerald Butts, has stepped down. He says that he denies pressuring Jody Wilson-Raybould on the issue of SNC-Lavalin. So why resign? And what kind of hole does this leave in government? It's only Monday, but you better believe that we called in At Issue for this one. Andrew Coyne, we tracked him down in New York tonight. And Rob Russo, CBC's bureau chief, is with me here in Ottawa. Okay, let's start with that part of the letter. I'll start with you, Andrew. It says very clearly he didn't do anything wrong, but wants to leave to take some of the, I guess, the pressure off the Prime Minister's office, defend his reputation on his own. Is that how that message will be interpreted by Canadians at large, that this is sort of over because Gerald Butts has left?
No. Look, this is an earthquake. You don't lose somebody as central to this government, as close to this Prime Minister, over a momentary problem or a public relations issue, et cetera. I know there's some grumbling in caucus about the way the government's been handling this, et cetera, but that's not enough to precipitate this kind of action. The only reason this would be happening is if they're anticipating extremely bad news. I'm struck by a couple things in his letter. One is the defense of his own personal, saying he personally had been accused. I have not seen that publicly. I've only seen references to unnamed officials in the Prime Minister's office having been accused. And secondly, his insistence on what a close relationship he had with Jody Wilson-Raybould.
So it's an attempt, Rob, then to move the issue just further away from the Prime Minister's office then?
Yeah, I think Andrew's right. I don't think it'll have that effect at all. I think the short-term effect is to reinforce the notion that this is a government that is in some cantankerous disarray and has had a miserable first 7 weeks to 2019, beginning with the firing of John McCallum, and now ending up with the departure of Justin Trudeau's best friend of 3 decades and the man who charted his ascendancy to power beginning some 15 or 20 years ago at the funeral of Pierre Trudeau, when he helped write the eulogy for his father. So, I mean, the word bombshell does get tossed around rather easily in this town. This really is a tectonic development.
Except if we were to compare it with, and it's not an apt comparison, but if we compared it with the Nigel Wright leaving Stephen Harper after admitting that he had given that $90,000 check to Mike Duffy, there was an admission of guilt, walked away, and it allowed Stephen Harper to sort of say, not my ball of wax, didn't know anything. In this case, there's no admission of anything done wrong, and I'm going to have to take him at his word that he doesn't believe he did anything wrong. So it doesn't really help. I'm not sure how it helps the Prime Minister's office in any real way if you can't distance yourself from it. But yeah, go ahead.
What it does do is, if he's in that office, it's hard for him to be the public face of defense and an aggressive counterattack, even though Mr. Butts has never been shy. Anybody who follows his Twitter feed knows that he's an unusual principal secretary and that he has a very public face that way. But he will now be unshackled from his day-to-day duties and from any reticence of making public comments about what Jody Wilson-Raybould said. And as Andrew pointed out in his note, he said, I was the contact point for Jody Wilson-Raybould Jody Wilson-Raybould in that office. I was the one who dealt with her, so he will have questions to answer, but he also will have information to impart as well.
Okay, Andrew?
First point is Nigel Wright's departure certainly didn't take that issue away from the Harper government. No. They dealt with it right up until the election. It really hurt them badly.
That's true, yeah.
Secondly, as important as Nigel Wright was in that government, it is dwarfed by the relative importance of Jerry Butts in this government. This is absolutely a body blow to this government. Third thing is, Mr. Butts, if again, going by that letter, talks about defending his own reputation. So if we take that as meaning something, yes, he'll be freer to talk about and defend himself, but he would not be acting, it seems to me, on an issue as important as this without the Prime Minister's say-so and without the Prime Minister's involvement. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it seems to me unlikely. So even if he's able to deal better with defending his own reputation and his own conduct in that doesn't take this away, and certainly won't take the opposition's focus away from what was the Prime Minister's knowledge of this and how involved was he in this.
I never like to suggest that one person is so central to the government that it's going to fall apart. We know lots of smart people inside the Prime Minister's office, and certainly his Chief of Staff, Katie Telford, is one of them. But the relationship between these two people, the Prime Minister and Jerry Butts, I think was different. We tried to explain that a little bit earlier in the show in terms of their personal relationship. What would you imagine this departure would do to their strategy over the next few months leading up to the election, or even the election? You know, maybe he will get involved, but for now, what do you think that departure will do? Andrew, why don't you start, and then Rob?
It's huge. Look, you know, Justin Trudeau may have many strengths, but nobody thinks he's the genius of this government. Nobody thinks he's the organizational or strategic genius of this government. Jerry Butts was very much the brains behind the Prime Minister, both in terms of the way he presented himself, his strategic positioning, et cetera. So to lose him at this stage with only a few months left to the election, granted, if he is proving to be a distraction or is going to be a distraction, it takes that away to some extent. But you're also losing an enormous reservoir of knowledge and background and knowing how the Prime Minister thinks and how he ticks and keeping him on board and keeping him stable in the face of huge pressures. This is a huge loss to the government and to the Prime Minister personally.
Rob.
Yeah, Mr. Butts was already deep into election prep, was talking to a lot of staffers about what they needed to do and how they needed to frame the election, was telling people, for instance, things like, if this is a multiple choice election, we're going to be fine. If it becomes a referendum on Justin Trudeau, we're going to be in trouble. So he was already trying to frame the election for people, deeply involved that way. Also, a lot of people thought that he was the ideologue, the incarnation of the Trudeau the Younger neoliberal. And with that gone, a lot of those ideas might be gone. But I'm old, and I do remember Bernard Roy, who was a very, very good friend of Brian Mulroney's, very, very tight chum of his, was chief of staff as well, left after some messiness, and Derek Burney came in and cleaned things up, and Mr. Mulroney's government went on to have some successes, notably on free trade. So you can pivot and move on.
Last question. We did 2 ad issues last week, Rob, if you were watching. Now we're on our first for this week. We're going to do at least 2 this week. Do you think that we are nearing the end of it, or really ramping up towards something else? Andrew?
Not by any means, and not only on this issue. There's also the looming question of the Vice Admiral Norman trial, in which there have been allegations or suggestions that the Prime Minister's office and officials within that were too closely involved there. So that's also looming the horizon. I think the other issue that people could raise is it healthy to have a Prime Minister who is so dependent and so close to one person? Because there have been grumbling about some of the handling of the other issues, and with a more normal relationship between a Prime Minister and his Principal Secretary, you might have seen this parting of the ways come earlier. But when somebody is so close to you personally and you're so dependent on them, maybe you get to the point where you can't, unless things get really serious and really bad, you can't let go of them.
Rob?
It's all in the hands of Jody Wilson-Raybould now. If she wanted to wreak vengeance on her government, she has certainly done that. The government, as I said, is in some chaos. She has now managed to engineer the departure of the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister. If that's enough for her, she may say, I've inflicted damage, and that's enough damage if I want to stay a Liberal. If not, if she chooses to speak and speak in a more accusatory tone, this mushroom cloud is going to continue to billow out further.
Okay, well, I'll just be interested to see if Jody Wilson-Raybould shows up at work tomorrow. That'll be an interesting place to start. Thanks, everybody, for this Emergency Monday at Issue. Appreciate it. And if you want to hear more of At Issue, you can, of course, go to our podcast, subscribe, look for it on iTunes, any major podcast app, our website, cbcnews.ca/The National.
And next on The National, an in-depth, candid conversation with Sting. He opens up about his difficult relationship with his father and how his new musical draws on his working-class roots.
I sat in the audience a lot and watched grown men crying in the darkness because they recognized their story.
Ever since he became famous as the frontman for The Police, Sting has charmed fans with his eclectic pop songs, rock star good looks, and a keen intellect. He's at ease with the biggest stars, but as Sting himself says, eventually you have to go back to where you came from. His musical The Last Ship is now playing in Toronto, and for the first time he's starring in it. He opened up to our senior correspondent, Susan Ormiston, about the arc of his life and how his own working-class origins inform this labor of love.
What do we got on the arse end of the weather, where we work in horizontal rail and shiver in the cold? What do we got?
Sting plays a foreman in a shipyard about to be closed.
We got no else.
The Last Ship is a personal passion. He wrote all the songs and stars in the Toronto production. Certainly not his first performance here. Welcome back.
Nice to be
to
back.
Toronto and Canada.
Very excited to be here.
You came, I think, to Toronto for the first time almost more than 40 years ago. 1978 at the Horseshoe Tavern. And here you are, the young Sting.
Yeah, that's me. I've got a compass around my neck for some reason. I don't quite know why.
Compass?
I was trying to find my way home, maybe.
Still.
We played the Horseshoe Tavern, we played a place called The Edge.
Here's The Edge.
The Edge, yeah.
Yeah.
2 Garys, then used to do the police picnic. We became adopted by the city.
I like this one, the police picnic.
So we have a long history with this town.
You do.
Ship will be ready to sail. Our ship will be ready to sail.
Sting's musical is forged from his upbringing in a shipbuilding town in England. It's about the dignity of work and what happens when that work disappears.
I think the themes of the play are resonant with a world situation, you know, where people are losing their jobs to automation or to abstract economic theories that excise the value of community. And that's happening everywhere. It's happening in the Midwest of America. I know it's happening here.
GM in Oshawa.
So the themes of the play are, you know, very topical.
So what does he do?
The reason we're here is we want to show our support and solidarity for your cause here.
Well, last week he took the cast out to Oshawa, where the GM auto plant's closing. They perform for workers about to lose their jobs.
We built battleships and cruisers for Her Majesty the Queen, supertankers for Onassis, all the classes in between. The greatest ship in tonnage the world has ever seen.
We live at a time where people with influence rarely poke out their head.
It's a master class in public relations for the union and for the rocker.
You deserve to be looked after better by the company that you've supported. It's very simple.
But Sting has the pedigree. He shaped his character in an industry town. Tell me a little bit about your history with Wallsend and Newcastle.
I was born within spitting distance of a shipyard. My earliest memories are the bows of giant ships towering over our house. I watched thousands of men walk into that shipyard every morning as a child. I'd watch the same men come back home every night and wondered as a kid, is this my destiny? There was very little else in the town to do. My grandfather had worked in the yards. My father had built turbines. And that was the last thing I wanted to do.
And yet you've spent the last decade of your life putting it back together and revisiting it almost every moment of your existence. So why?
It's almost a psychic debt I have to pay for the community that created me. The engine that drove me to escape came from this community. But in later life, you realize that, you know, like a salmon, you have to go back to your spawning ground at some point and make sense of the whole shape of your life. And you have to come to terms with the ghosts you left behind. So really it's a search for myself.
He said, you see these work boots in my hands? They'd probably fit you now, my son. Take them, they're a gift from me. Why don't you try them on?
Part of the search is an exploration of the fractious relationship between father and son, which is deeply biographical.
I studied hard at school, I got a scholarship, and I went to grammar school and was taught French and Latin and philosophy and history, and my dad wasn't very supportive of that, and because he wanted me to have a technical education, something he understood. Sometimes a father's love is misconstrued as being too controlling. And conversely, a son's ambition can just seem like a pie-in-the-sky dream. I was a dreamer.
These dead man's boots, though they're old and curled, when a fella needs a job and a place in the world, and it's time for a man to put down roots and walk to the river in his old man's boots.
Dead Man's Boots is about that troubled relationship, and when Sting and I talked 5 years ago, he told me more about his dad. He didn't get what you did in the beginning. Did he ever?
I think towards the end, begrudgingly, yes. We had the same hands, exactly the same hands, and I'd never noticed that before, and he was dying. And I said that to him, and he said, well, you used your hands better than I did.
It's not as if it spoiled me with his kindness up to then, you see.
And he'd never really paid me a compliment before, so it was kind of, the timing was pretty devastating.
I'm done with all the arguments, there'll be no more disputes. And you'll die before you see me in your dead man's boots.
His father's gone now, but at 67, Sting has his own family, 6 grown children, including a daughter, Elliot Sumner, who followed his lead, and Joe Sumner, also a musician. How does that affect your relationship with your children? Your son's a musician, one of your daughters is a musician.
You have to ask them. You know, I'm not sure how good a parent I am at all. So really, it's a question they have to answer. I've spent a lot of my time on the road. They've been given great privileges. But you know, whether or not I'm a good father or not, I don't know. Ask them. I try my best.
When they make decisions that you think are ill-advised, do you think back to your father and say, well, I got to let them run because look what happened to me?
I have to let them run. I trust them. I trust them. I have 2 musicians, 2 actors, a filmmaker, and my youngest wants to be a cop. Because he says, oh, you're all creatives, and he used the term pejoratively. I want to do something useful for society, and I'm totally in support of it.
The Last Ship first launched on Broadway in 2014, but Sting wasn't in it. Reviews were decent, and it was nominated for 2 Tony Awards, but the theater didn't sell out, and it was reportedly losing money. What happened on Broadway? It closed earlier than you wanted. You stepped in to revive the production there. What happened?
It's not an easy subject for a Broadway audience, you know, but a difficult thing. We're going to watch a play about out-of-work shipyard workers. Maybe not. And so I went in there to, you know, boost ticket sales, and we did. But I could only do it for a month because I had a tour contract with Paul Simon. And then we brought it back to England and played it in my hometown. It's sort of spiritual home, if you like. And then the Mervishes came to see it in Dublin, loved it, and said, you should come to Toronto.
So was a condition of this coming with the Mervishes to Toronto that you would star for its run?
I think so. Yeah.
And did you have to think twice about that? Because you told me back in 2013 there was no part for you. You loved being a producer. You wanted to hand it over to the actors, and
I did.
It didn't turn out that way.
But having played it and realizing that I could play it, that I knew this character, when I knew his conflict, I knew his weaknesses, I knew his strengths. And I'm very happy to be playing that right now. And so I'm glad I made that decision to say yes.
But you could have said, okay, tried that, had a limited run, going to leave it. But you didn't.
No.
You're reviving it. Why?
There's something really important in this play, a message for the world. You know, I sat in the audience a lot and watched grown men crying in the darkness because they recognized their story. And that's a very profound feeling to have.
Did you actually sit at the back of the theater in New York?
Yeah.
Frequently or all the time?
Every night. I watched the show every night.
From the back, in the darkness? Yeah. Nobody knew you were there?
No. No, it's a great feeling. And when you get a standing ovation, you think, yeah.
That feels good.
That feels really good. And we got a standing ovation every night.
You've changed it. Tell me how.
I think the play is probably more political now than it was. It was important to go to England when people actually knew the reality, the tough reality of that situation, to be more truthful to that. It's less sentimental than it was. It's tougher. You can take it.
I think so.
The ship is sailing and will continue.
Perfect place to end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next on The National, teens teaching teens about the dangers of e-cigarettes, a new approach to a growing epidemic.
First, though, tomorrow night on The National, an in-depth look at the Mueller investigation. As the world waits to hear from the special counsel, Keith Bogue pieces together everything we know, from the key dates to the key players. Take a look.
The Kensington Wine Rooms in London's Mayfair has a small and accidental part in the story of Donald Trump's presidency. It was here that George Papadopoulos, a young foreign policy advisor to Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, met for drinks with the Australian High Commissioner Alexander Downer. In a rambling conversation, his tongue loosened by alcohol, Papadopoulos casually told Downer that he knew Russia had damaging information on presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and planned to release it in the final stage of the election campaign.
And this is the first indication that anybody connected with the campaign has knowledge of the email.
Knowledge of emails that the Russians may have gathered.
We're live on The National, and following a developing story out of Calgary, a body has been recovered from a home leveled by an explosion on Sunday morning. Police aren't saying what exactly happened or who the victim is, but neighbors say the homeowner is out of the country and somebody was renting the house. It was destroyed and at least 2 others are damaged. On Newfoundland's west coast, the Trans-Canada Highway is reopened following a massive pileup that sent 6 people to hospital. At least 15 vehicles, including 3 transport trucks, were involved. It's not clear what happened, but police say whiteout conditions and high winds likely played a role.
The U.S. Center for Disease Control calls it an epidemic, the growing and now unprecedented number of teens using e-cigarettes. New numbers show nearly 5 million middle and high school students reported using tobacco products last year, and that's up from 3.6 million in 2017. And research shows there's also been a spike here in Canada. It's become a big problem in schools across the country. So, as Karen Paul shows us, some students are taking matters into their own hands.
How many chemicals are in a package of cigarettes and 1 cigar?
This grade 10 civic leadership class is practicing an anti-smoking lecture.
Do you guys really want this long?
Aimed at middle school students. Today, they're updating their presentation.
But what are we going to say? What's the message we want to get across to kids? Right?
They brought in an expert to tell them more about vaping or e-cigarettes.
There's 3 different kinds of vapes that we
Riley Farrell has been vaping since he was 13. Attracted by the cool factor.
Like you see dudes on Instagram blowing like O's and doing all these tricks and having huge clouds.
Attracted also by the youth-oriented packaging and marketing.
So when kids look at it, they think, I want that. It's no different.
Farrell admits he's addicted, even though he knows it can't be good for him.
If you guys are just chilling in your buddy's basement, you're all vaping, and one buddy gets too head-rocked and can't hit anymore because he's about to pass out, that's nicking out, you know what I mean?
Nicotine aside, the Lung Association and Health Canada don't recommend vaping for non-smokers because it can increase exposure to harmful substances found in e-juice.
Because you're getting that shortness of breath and it's messing up your lungs from inhaling that.
You have emphysema.
Sydney Tuck hopes if teens hear this message from their peers, they might just listen.
I know if I go into a middle school, I'll see kids in grade 7 with a vape.
It's increasingly on Health Canada's radar. It released this video.
That it's so enticing to kids with the
Meanwhile, Farrell says parents should also be educating themselves.
If you go into your son's room and it doesn't just smell like cologne or something, it smells like Fruity Pebbles or like flowers in there, you're gonna obviously be like, hey, that's not his cologne.
Like other tobacco products, anyone under 18 can't legally buy e-cigarettes, but they're getting them from older siblings, friends, even parents, contributing to a new generation of nicotine addicts. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Moment is up next, and tonight it's a moment of joy for a family anxiously awaiting word from their loved one in Haiti.
That's the overwhelming news we wanted to hear. So, it's been hard.
A group of Canadian volunteer nurses caught up in Haiti's political crisis are breathing easier tonight. They flew out of the country earlier today after 2 weeks effectively trapped by violent protests. Their compound was 60 kilometers from Port-au-Prince and its airport. The only safe way out was by helicopter. CBC News happened to be talking to the family members of one of those nurses earlier today when they got the good news that she was on the chopper. And that is our moment of the day.
What's that been like to just sort of been waiting, to be waiting by the phone like that? And there goes your phone again, yeah.
They see it. That's the overwhelming news we wanted to hear. She's done this one time before and said that was a great experience.
How are you feeling now that you've gotten this news? She's on this helicopter.
Overwhelmed. We knew she'd be, I don't know, I kept saying all the time, she'll be safe, she'll be okay, it'll all work out, we've got to do what I have to do, and now it's coming to fruition, so pretty pleased. Tears of joy.
So, Rosemary, we know how the story ends. Well, but lots of twists before that, including the road to the airport. We were talking about this on the National last week. Too dangerous to drive, really. They needed a helicopter, as we heard. They went to GoFundMe and quickly raised more than it actually cost for the helicopter, which is terrific. And the extra money will go to their charity.
And when they were waiting for the helicopter, they had to put something down so they'd be spotted, and they planted a Canadian flag, and that's how they spotted them. And you know, Ian, that was one of those moments like journalists dream about being there for that kind of moment.
I know lots of times when you, as you know, you're shooting in the field, you hear people say, oh, you should have been here 2 minutes ago. We just got this call. It would have been fantastic. So it was nice to see that actually play out.
And apparently Jaspal has to have champagne waiting for his wife, so hopefully he's on that tonight. That's the National for February 18th. Good night, everyone.
Good night.